love story.
Here, this lovely couple that came to share the love story have Julian and Danielle. How are you doing, guys?
Doing very well, Pastor. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Are you ready to share everything?
Yep.
I hope you are. I hope you are. So let's go for the flash questions first, and then we go back for to the past. Right. I believe I know this one because we were talking before, but let me just confirm. Who fell in love first?
I think it was me. I'm really trying to.
Okay, who is more jealous?
That.
Do you think? I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I don't.
At the start of the marriage, no. It's okay.
No, it's definitely her.
Who is more romantic?
Me.
Wow, that was a solid me.
The two first was like, okay.
This one was a
Okay.
definite
Yes. Okay, then let's go.
Who takes longer getting ready to leave the house?
My
Me.
wife,
Yeah, definitely.
every single time.
Okay, then who eat more?
Who eats more? It's me.
Yeah.
Okay, humbleness. That's
Yes,
good.
Yes.
That's good.
Who drives better?
Oh, I mean, the testimony pending. We don't drive yet. That's
Okay.
testimony pending.
Okay, so let's move to the next one. Who's more funny?
Me.
No. No.
Okay.
It's me.
Okay, you own it.
Go ahead, Pastor.
Who takes longer to shower?
Me.
Who gets stressed easier?
Me. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Who is more forgetful?
You.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have to agree.
Yeah, he forgot he was forgetful.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was a sign. Okay, who's more clumsy?
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to really think about these ones.
Who likes to sleep more?
Yeah, me.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, the way that she look at you, you better say yes. Okay, otherwise you're going to sleep right now. Who expenses more?
Me. But I'm also good with finance.
Okay.
I think it's a good balance.
But depends on if you expense more with groceries and doing
Yeah.
things to the house.
Yeah,
It's just-
this would definitely be my wife.
Yeah. But that's not a bad
No.
thing. Depends on what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Pastor Philip.
Who likes to go out more?
My wife likes to go out more.
And the last one is we can create a bit of
That's always
always a bit polemic. This one, who's more organized?
This is a tricky one.
I know it.
What would- I think it's me.
She was waiting for
Just
it.
wait for me to say her.
Yeah,
I think
it's me.
I think it depends on.
that's the point.
Yeah.
Always when we speak about organization, we always have these little things
This
because
point,
depends on what, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Depend on what.
it depends. Like I could be organized when it comes to when I'm working from home, so my station might be a bit more organized. Her one might
She's
not
not
be.
approving the answer, by the
She's
way.
not approving, but in other things she could be a bit more organized than me. It just really depends on what it is.
Mhm. Okay, then I need your point about it.
I think I'm quite organised. I think in terms of like scheduling and planning things and everything, I think I'm a lot more.
In that
organised.
case, yeah, I can agree.
Yeah.
But I do agree sometimes my desk can be a bit manic, but not all the time.
Mhm.
But it's just when you have a crazy day, then just But I think I'm quite organised.
I believe all of us we are organized in a very particular way, right?
Yeah.
In a very personal way.
Somehow.
Not all of us, right, Chad? Because sometimes here in the Liberty, okay, but that's not Chad's story. So let's go. Julian and Danielle. So tell me, please, Julian, how was your life, before? Let's go a bit before, seeking the references you had. How was your family, actually?
So obviously I grew up with my mom. My brother was present, and when I was born, my dad was there for 3 years of my life, and then he wasn't there anymore.
So you don't remember your father?
No, I didn't remember anything. I didn't really have any experience growing up with him, and that had a big impact because my mom was trying to be the mom and the dad, and you can imagine it didn't really work.
But after these, he never came back. Not even how was your relationship with him, if you had one?
I didn't even have contact with him.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I would ask my mom, so where's my dad? Is there a way we can get in contact? My mom didn't even have contact with him. So that put a bit of a strain, because I used to see, when I used to go to school, the other children with their mom and dad, and I would ask about my dad. And
Can you imagine Father's Day, this kind of
things, I was like, where's my dad? And my mom didn't really want to speak about it because of their history. My mom never really liked to go back to that situation that happened, so she used to cry every single time she would speak about it. That's how bad it was.
Oh gosh. And do you believe that, you know, the lack, you know, of the absence of your father impacting your life, and as we are talking about love life, in your love life when you grew up?
Yes, definitely, because I didn't have that male figure in my life, I had to search for it elsewhere. So even though I had my friends who were similar ages to me, but there were some of them that they had more of experience in life. They were doing other things that I wasn't doing as of yet. And also because of that, the things that they were doing, I would start to do. So the way they would treat women was the way that I started to treat women.
And how was this way?
So a lot of them, they would have multiple different girls at one time, and I used to see that and thought to myself, that was the right way to do it.
And how was that for you? That was a normal thing?
It was normal. It was a normal thing, but I didn't see anything wrong with it. There was no one to correct me. So because of that, it got complicated. The different girls found out, and it became a big mess. And I didn't really care, because I just thought I was doing the right thing. But coming to know later on, my dad had a similar issue. So it was like a thing that kind of generational, that it kind of went up, and I started to do it, but not realizing it until later on down in my life.
Would you imagine, you know, looking back to that Julian, you know, back then, that today would be here, you know, with a wife, speaking about a successful relationship?
No, Pastor. I didn't even think I was even good enough to even find the right person. I thought I was just destined to just go around from woman to woman, but never really find happiness. Because when I was going around with these different women or females, I was trying to find love. I thought if I had multiple, I could find love through all of them, but that wasn't the case. I wasn't happy. I would be with one and then be with the other.
So you're not ready for a commitment?
No, I thought I was, but I wasn't.
And living that life, have you ever thought about marriage, about, you know, building a family or something?
I wanted that. I just didn't know how. I was very immature about love life, very immature about life. But I wanted that. I would see people with happy marriages and say, one day I'm going to get there. But at the same time, I didn't believe at the same time. So I would see it and want it, but I didn't believe it could happen for me.
That's the case of many people. They have this dream. One day I will have a happy family, but if you ask them what you're doing about it now, oh, I'm just enjoying my life. They're doing absolutely nothing about it.
It's a dream that seems to be so far that is like just in their mind they can imagine it. Pastor.
Yeah, because going back to your story, Julian, because so this is something you wanted to achieve, right? Yeah. A happy family.
Yes.
But you were doing absolutely nothing to achieve that, right?
Yeah, and at the same time I was quite immature as well. So I wasn't even ready or in the position to have a relationship, or even to think about looking after a woman, because I wasn't even looking after myself.
Yeah.
So essentially, if I would have done that at the time, it would have backfired on me massively.
Let's stop by here now. Daniel, let's go a big back in time, and tell me please about your past, your family, your references. How was it?
Yeah, so similar to Julian, I didn't grow up with a dad either, and I grew up in my family. We had like a lot of strong women in the family. So, I mean, from my grandmother, my granddad wasn't around. So my grandma took the lead on, caring for all of the family. I had uncles as well, and they had relationships, but all of the women in the family didn't really have any happy relationships at the time. And those closest to me, so I grew up with my mum and my auntie. We all grew up together in the same house. They also didn't have, they had broken relationships. None of my cousins had their dads around. So I kind of grew up feeling like I didn't really need a man in my life, because they all made it and there was never any men around. So I kind of almost felt like I didn't really need that. So yeah, that's kind of where I came from. I mean, I did grow up kind of with a resentment towards my dad, but it was quite love-hate. So I had that resentment towards him because he wasn't around. But then whenever he was around, and then whenever he made me feel special, then I'd love him, and I'd need that. But then when it came to like growing up and then having any interaction with guys, I feel like maybe I was actually, thinking back on it, I was probably a bit scared. I'm not scared because I was scared to commit, but scared because I didn't know how they would treat me. I've never had that interaction with a man before, or, you know, seen a man that has been faithful in any way. So it's almost like part of me was like, okay, I don't need a man. But then if I had any attention, it was almost fear I'd never have that kind of real relationship, because it was, I don't trust you kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of where I came from.
Were you thinking about your future in terms of career, finances?
Yeah.
But when it comes to love life, you had no perspective?
No, like I was very, I just was kind of like, I grew up with this kind of go-getter attitude. I just wanted to kind of make it the way that my mum made it, make it the way that the other women in my family made it. And then if a man comes along, it's okay. I don't even think I would think about children that much. It wasn't something that was, I don't think I ever thought, oh, one day I'm going to get married and
which is a bit unusual, because usually girls, they feed this dream, you know, they nurture this thought, oh, one day I'll have, you know, my family, I'll have my children, I'll have my husband. And so there was something that you were not entertaining.
No, I mean, like all girls, I suppose, that, you know, you like the fairy tales. I mean, obviously hooked on Disney and all of those kind of princess like films and everything like that. But I was never like, I never thought, I mean, it was never, I felt like men were indispensable. And it's funny because even growing up, like I used to always get, I was quite naughty in school, and I used to always get like expelled and kicked out and everything. And I remember there was one teacher that said to my mum that he thinks that I had a problem with men, like I had a problem submitting to men, because I'd always end up arguing back with my male teachers, because I didn't see men as authority, because I didn't have a man in my life. So it was almost like, who are you to tell me or to instruct me? Like, you're not important. I didn't see them as the role of what they were. I kind of just saw them as, oh, you know, if they were to give me attention, it was almost like, oh, I don't know. I felt like I had more to give than they could bring to the table, and I had just as much to bring to the table as they did. That's
a bit curious, because so you didn't have the same attitude with your teacher, the female teachers, but with the male teachers.
Yeah.
This kind of resistance. That's really interesting. We know why now.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine how would be, you know, a relationship between these two, you know, the way they describe themselves?
Yeah, Pastor. If we think about it, without the altar of love, Pastor.
I can imagine, you know, two lorries, you know, coming against each other, 70 miles per hour. That would be the result. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, Julius, you with your wife? Today she's your wife, but can you imagine you with her? You know, someone like, and perhaps you could, but, and what about you? You know, being married with, you know, someone
that was uncommitted. I think my attitude back then was, if somebody was unfaithful to me, that's it. That's it. I would cut you off completely. Like it just wouldn't work for me, because, as I said, in my mind, men were disposable. And I think I even had that kind of thing. Oh, if he did it to me, I'd probably do something back. I was very vengeful, very, I don't know, just very angry. And yeah, I think all of that hurt that I would have had towards my dad, I would have taken out on other men. But I wouldn't have taken it out on my dad, because, of course, when my dad gave me attention, I loved it. But it just wouldn't translate to other people.
Okay, but of course, before you getting together, you had to fix lots of things, right? Lots of things. So there when you start, you know, attending the church, attending the services, and you mentioned also the love therapy, right?
Yeah, so I think after a while, as I got my conversion, started to change, I started to sort of attend the love therapy. And I didn't go there saying, okay, I'm going to go and find someone, but to work on myself. Because I needed to become that person for a future woman of God.
You had to learn how to be a husband, right?
Yeah, I had to learn. I had many things I needed to change, many habits that I needed to change. I need to look within myself to see what things I need to get rid of, so that when the person does come, I'll be in the best position possible to add to the person. Because before that, I couldn't add to anyone. I would just be taken away, but not add in.
And you know, this is also a very important part of the learning process, is to unlearn things. That's the very first thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I can imagine you living your life, I don't know how many years living in that particular way. That's the way to be. That's the way, you know, to be. And then you come, you know, to a meeting like the love therapy, and everything you thought was right now is being confronted. You are being, you know, challenged to change to something that it's completely new. How was that for you?
I think at the point I was willing to listen and hear everything that was being said, because I wanted to change. I wanted to learn how to do it the right way, because I was trying to do it my way.
Okay.
And because I was trying to do it my way, it didn't work. So now I wanted to do it the way God wanted.
You know, but that's the problem, Julia. Many people, they sometimes they think like that. They come and they want God to bless their ways. But that it doesn't work like that. God will bless me if I do it His ways. If I decide to obey, you know, His ways.
Right.
Because He said in His word, you know, the author of love said that His ways, they are better than mine. So if His ways are better than mine, what I'm doing in my way, so let me get rid of my way and let me go, you know, and walk in His ways.
And Jesus said, I am the way, so there is only one way.
Exactly.
The right way. And how long did it take for you, like, to work with yourself?
So I'll say 1 year, 2 years. I was going consistently. And
so it was not one love therapy.
It wasn't one. No,
every session.
The thing is, I had to keep coming.
Okay.
You know, because if you come 1 week and then you stop, and then you 3 months later you come back, you kind of have to start again.
Yeah.
So it's more like a thing I had to keep going, I had to keep learning, I had to keep applying. So it wasn't just to go and just hear. I had to apply what was being said. So when, for example, the pastor would say, "Oh, go and approach this person," I had to apply. You know, it wasn't just to hear it, but I had to apply it.
Yes. And Danielle, you were a bit far. You were in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
But then in Los Angeles, you had also to start this transformation and all this process. Since your, you know, spiritual deliverance and the spiritual achievements such as baptism in water, the Holy Spirit, and everything. And how was that for you? Because you also attended law therapy there in Midlands, right?
Yeah, when it was available, I started to attend. But I'll be really honest, and maybe this may help the viewers as well. I think there was a period where I wasn't really, love life was like the last thing on my mind. And I think I pushed it to the back of my mind because I didn't want to fall. I had so many stories of people, you know, who got it wrong and everything. And remember, I had that fear already of, like, you know, of things going wrong, because that was my only reference growing up. So I think it kind of lingered a bit to the point that I didn't want to focus on it because I didn't want to get it wrong. And I remember...
I'm sorry, but when you used to think like that, when you were already baptized with the Holy Spirit?
Oh, no, that was before. Sorry, do you want me to speak post-baptism?
No. I just, you know, because I want to know, because you know why. There are some people, and sometimes even assistants, they have these wrong thoughts. They have this wrong mentality, thinking, no, I don't want to think about my love life. They want to, like, to freeze this area of their lives, you know, pretending that, okay, I don't need to think about it now. But look, if you don't think about your love life now, you can be sure that you have trouble in future, because if you are doing nothing, if you're not starting now, you have to start later. And if you're starting now, when the time comes for you to find someone, to be in a relationship and make things happen, that will be easier, because you have already, you know, a good, you know, luggage of spiritual knowledge. And exactly like Julian said, you know, this learning process, you had to learn things and learn new things. That will be, you know, a smooth, you know, transition for you, because you were already learning that. It was not something that you ignored and you pretend, okay, I don't need that now. All I need is my salvation. All I need is the Holy Spirit. Yes, the Holy Spirit is the most important thing in life. But please don't forget that God used to walk with Adam. God used to walk with Adam in the garden, right? In the garden. No sin, no problems. Everything was perfect. God looked at him and said, it's not good. It's not good.
It's not good to the man to be alone.
But he was walking with God. He was walking with God, and God said, it's not good. It's like you perhaps you said, but I have already received the Holy Spirit. Oh, that's it, I'm done. I don't want to think about my love life. God is looking at you saying, it's not good. It's not good for you to be alone. It's not good. Tell me, please, do you remember when you received the Holy Spirit?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
How was that? You know, I don't want to change the subject here, but the joy, you know, that,
amazing.
the day I received the Holy Spirit, oh my gosh. But look, even though you have the Holy Spirit, but single, it's like something's missing in life, right?
Yeah. The next puzzle was now to find a suitable partner.
Tell me, please, about you, Daniel, about this. Receiving the Holy Spirit, oh gosh, I received the presence of God. That's it, I'm done, I can die. But it's not like that. God looked at you, Daniel, said, it's not good for you to be alone.
Yeah, you know what, it's funny because there's our story is a little bit interesting because when Julian was first interested in me, I didn't have the Holy Spirit, Pastor.
Okay.
And I told him that I didn't have the Holy Spirit, so I wasn't ready to date.
But that's good, you know, that's good because you have similar situations.
Yeah. So I told him that I didn't have the Holy Spirit, so I wasn't ready to date. So then after I received the Holy Spirit, I kind of was in that thing like, oh, I know that this guy likes me. I just kind of wanted to enjoy, like.
But tell me, please, was he like pressing on you when you said that you didn't have the Holy Spirit?
No, not at all.
Or he did something like, okay, so let me help. Let's do a purpose here for you to receive the Holy Spirit.
For the oil here.
No. It was funny because I received it during the 21 days, and I kind of said, like, you know, God works in really interesting ways because it was kind of like he approached me, and then but I already had inside of myself like I've made my decision. I want to receive the Holy Spirit, and I told him, look, I'm not ready yet. Okay, maybe, you know, there could be a future and everything like that, but I'm not ready. I spoke to the people, the pastor's wife at the time in my church about it. I wanted everything to be open because I wasn't hiding anything. Then I focused on receiving the Holy Spirit, and then after that is when actually I gave my testimony. I think I gave my testimony, or it was in a Liberty Radio or something like that. And then here comes Julian.
Now she's ready.
Says hello. And we waited for a bit because we spoke to the pastors and everything, and the person who was in charge of therapy as well, and spoke to them, and we waited for a bit. I think it was about 6 months, and then 6, 7 months. Then we started dating. But then during that time, I was also, you know, as I said, like attending the therapy of love meetings, just trying to understand and trying to unlearn all of those things. And learning about submitting to male authority, even though it's weird to say. Obviously I was baptized in the Holy Spirit, but still I need to learn what it is to be a helper, learn what it is to support a man, because I've never seen that in my life before. I have no reference. So it was learning all of those things, and then it made the relationship better. And even coming to sometimes I'd make the effort to come down to London to come to Love Talk as well, and Love Therapy, Love Talk. I'd come as well on the Saturdays, or it was Saturdays at the time. And it really did help us to
come together,
bridge the gaps in learning and experience.
So can you see a very important detail? You know, sometimes it happens. We received questions like that. I don't know if you remember, people that they think, but they ask that, I'm liking someone that is not yet baptized with the Holy Spirit. Should I approach him and do a purpose and help him? No, you should stay away, right, Julius? Because when you learned that she wasn't yet baptized the Holy Spirit, you understood that's her journey. This is, you know, a personal challenge of hers.
Yes, and even when she told me, I was quite amazed, to be honest, because for her to tell me took a lot of courage. And I said, if she could do this without the Holy Spirit, imagine what she would be with the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And I kind of hung on to that, allowed her to go work on herself. I continued to work on myself, even though I had the Holy Spirit already an assistant at the time. Yeah. I still had things to work on. So I continued to work. She worked on herself. She's right, when she did receive, she didn't tell me. And it's a good thing she didn't tell me straight.
She didn't run to you.
No.
Now we can do it.
No. Obviously, as she said, she gave a testimony on Liberty Radio, and that's when I found out. Obviously, I was glad for her. Most point that she has the Holy Spirit. I wasn't even saying, okay, now we can date. Yeah. And then after a while, 7 months, we didn't date, we were just talking, and then we got the go ahead to start dating. Great.
And how was the date? How long did you dated for?
I think it was about a year.
I think it was 2. A year and a half, something like that.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
And how was the dating time for you?
I think for us, because she was living in Birmingham, I was living in London.
Okay, so it was kind of long distance relationship.
We didn't see each other as much as we would want to. And at the time, I was kind of doing freelance work, so I wasn't working in like a permanent job. So we'll see each other probably once every month.
Oh, that's not, you know, a lot.
It's not a lot, and obviously because she was in the Midlands, I was here. It wasn't, and sometimes I'll have to on Saturdays do other things, and she'll have to do other things. So we had to really use like Skype and Zoom and these technologies to kind of keep in contact. And when we would go and see each other, make the best of it.
And what was different, Julius, now from these relationships, especially you who were that guy, you know, womanizer, no commitment, that wrong mentality about women. What was different in this relationship you were heading with her, that because you were dating at the time? What was different?
The difference was it wasn't just about physical attraction. I wanted to really understand the person that who I could potentially go to marry. Understand how she deals with people, understand what her goals are, what her dreams are, what she really wants to do in life. These were the kind of things I was finding out, what she likes, to see if we were sort of compatible in terms.
So you didn't gave your heart straight away, say, no, that's the woman of my life, and that's it. Let's, you know, blind my eyes, and
no, it
there
wasn't
we go.
that. And I even involved God as well.
Okay.
Because in past I didn't really have a relationship with God, so He wouldn't even be in the center. But with this, I ensured that He was the center. My wife did the same thing, so He was blessing it. So whatever we would do would be in His accordance and what He wanted for us to do.
Were you a bit, you know, afraid or scared, because I believe that was quite new for you, right?
Yeah, I think for me, like as Julian mentioned, like he said that we made Jesus the center. I think God being the center was a theme of our whole dating period, at least for me. There's even a song that it says Jesus be the center, and I used to play it all the time and everything, because it's just I really wanted to make God the center of the relationship. And I don't know if He did this. I think maybe I made a lot of those prayers. I was like, if God, if there's anything wrong with him, show me. And I think
I did.
I used to make those prayers all the time. I used to
Wow.
all
Up
the
until the
time
wedding
because
day.
I was like, oh God, if anything. And I think maybe sometimes I was a bit too strict, because sometimes if He told me one day that He didn't go to battalion, I'd be like, why hasn't He gone to battalion? I'd I'd be really strict and trying to understand, like I don't know, but that's just the standard that I had for myself, because I knew how hard I fought for my spiritually speaking now, I knew how hard I fought for my relationship with God.
To bear where you were.
Yeah,
No?
it was hard, and it was hard grafting, it was hard work, and it was God that got me there. So I wasn't going to throw it away for anybody, and I didn't want to throw it away for somebody who may, you know, be infatuated with me, or, you know, someone I might have a crush on or something like that. I wanted to make sure that I made the right decision, and that decision would be a reference not only for people in the church, but also in my family as well, that would be a marriage of God. So yeah.
Have you ever heard from family or friends, you know, something like, oh, that's the first boyfriend, you should experience more, you should go around and find I don't know if you heard that.
I had, well, the thing is, before Julian, I had another relationship which wasn't good. It was a relationship as well in the church, but none of my family knew about it. What was different about this one is that my family knew about it, and it was clean. Nobody really encouraged me and my family to go and explore. I think they were just happy because I was happy, and they saw that Julian was a man of God. So it was okay for me. I don't know about you, Jules.
No, I didn't really have anything like that. I think my mom was when I introduced her to my mom, she was happy and everything. She just wanted the best for us. I didn't really have anyone that.
So you did this old style thing, introducing to the family.
Yeah.
But you know, this you know, I'm joking here. Of course, this is not old style, but for many people, that's for many people they thought, come on, why that? We're 2022. You know, that's necessary, and I believe that's crucial for a successful relationship, because it gives, you know, security, stability, you know, because when you go, that's my girlfriend, you know, that's my fiance. So when you are assuming that before a family, you're giving, you know, to Daniel that security. Okay, so that's official. There is no dark spots here, you know, everything's clear, and that's really good, because when you involve family, it's good for you to see how is the environment of that family, right? How the way that she deals with the family members, the way that she treats her mother, and also, you know, observing him, the way that she treats her mother and his mother and everything. So this was also very important. So during this 1 year and a half you dated, all the boxes they ticked.
Yeah.
It was quite smooth.
It was quite smooth. It was like, you know, as I say, cloud nine,
Yeah.
as they say, and that's how it was. It was very, very smooth, and then we got married.
Now wedding day, who was the pastor holding the wedding?
It's Bishop James.
Bishop James.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's very familiar with our story, and he kind of counseled us and helped us through the whole process.
Great.
Dating and
And by the way, Bishop James will be with us in the law therapy tomorrow, huh? But I'm going to tell you about it. So, after the wedding day, especially, you know, that special day pictures, you know, the glamour and, you know, that special thing, that's amazing, right? But we know the real life starts in day 2.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe in day 5 after the honeymoon.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It depends. But anyways, what were the challenges you had to face in the beginning of your marriage? How was that for you?
Yeah, I think one of the major things that we kind of suffered with was communication. And I think this is something that happens in most marriages.
Yeah.
Especially within the first year. Because we've never lived with each other before. We were kind of getting used to each other's surroundings and habits, if you could say. And the way we would communicate with each other wasn't the best way. So I might raise my voice because, you know, when emotions get into play.
By the way, men think that's not emotion. That's a sign of strength, you know, when you're playing the amazing Hulk. No?
Yeah, exactly. But essentially it's emotion. Then I might raise my voice and then my wife will raise her voice back, and I wouldn't like that.
Okay.
But not knowing that what I gave to her is what she's only giving back. And I think that's what a lot of people don't tend to understand. So because of these communication issues, we weren't on mutual grounds a lot of the time, and that caused a lot of problems. It was like we were arguing quite a lot of the time, and it's like I feel like she wasn't understanding me, and I wasn't understanding her. And that just caused a whole big problem.
So suddenly you saw that Daniel, you know, he resisted your male teachers, resisting now to your husband. How was that?
I mean, we didn't argue all the time, but I think when we argued, and it wasn't terrible arguments, even though like Jill said about us like raising voices and everything, but it wasn't like the way I used to shout or anything like that. But it was like that altercation that I just was not used to having because I haven't had such a thing in a long time. I think one of the main things like that I think projected from my past is I said I was very much a goal-getter, and I still kind of have that kind of ambitious mentality as, you know, faithful to have a woman of God and everything like that. But I saw that my husband is a lot more not laid back, he's more relaxed, he's ambitious, but he doesn't show his ambition in the same way that I will. He won't show that. So to me that meant he's lazy, or he doesn't, you know, he doesn't want to, he's not doing anything, or why is he not fighting for our future, or all of these things. So whereas I was like built from this home of strong women who were doing everything, and Julian's kind of doing things, but I'm not doing it at the pace that I want to see it. So it was almost like, you know, oh Julian, you need to do this. So and especially when it came to money and like to career and everything like that, like I'd see myself trying to do things, you know, make things move, and then I wouldn't see anything on his part. So I was almost like, oh, you need to do this, or you need to apply to this job, or you need to do this role, and all of these things in order to build our lifestyle. And I remember and it was Julian that said to me one time, he said, do you realize that all of the arguments that we have is about money? And when as soon as he said that, the penny dropped, and I realized that was literally the main source of frustration. It was me trying to exert my personality on Julian, and it's never going to work, just because and God really humbled me and showed me that just because I might be this person that is quite forward or quite, you know, not outspoken, but, you know, I can, you know, driven and everything like that. Just because Julian doesn't show that drive in the same way as me doesn't mean that he's wrong. It just means that he's just different. And I think understanding that really helped solve a lot of issues. In the first year.
And how long, you know, you took for you to go through this process and you know this adaptation process?
Probably maybe 2 years. 2 years, because the first year you're kind of still finding things out. You're going into the second year, you're still finding things out, and even now 5 years we're still finding things out about each other.
And for you, Judas, what do you think is the key thing for you to go through this adaptation process?
What's the key things? Repeat that. So
for you to go through the adaptation, and for you to go over them, you know, something that was key for you, you know, that was, you know, a must, paramount. I had to be like that, or I had to change like that. For example, humbleness, you know, humility. I don't know what was necessary for you to go through this process. The key thing for
me was just to really try and understand the situation and speak to God about it, because when I tried to do things with my own strength and my own understanding, it didn't work. It didn't work. And I caught myself at a lot of times trying to deal with the situations that we're going through, especially with communication, by my own strength.
Okay.
But when I started to humble myself and realize, okay, maybe I need to do things a bit differently, and consulted God, He always gave me the wisdom to deal with the situation and knowing how to deal with my wife.
And what was that for you, Danielle?
I say the same thing. I mean, I did speak to other, like the pastors' wives and everything that we had in the church, and I think the same thing. When I stopped trying to change Julian myself, not trying to say that he had loads of change, but stopped trying to nag and try to be that wife that tries to change who he is, and instead I'd take my nagging or my complaints to God, and God will probably most of the time would show things about me as well, but I'd put my strength in God, and then miraculously I'd start seeing things changing inside of him, and I wouldn't even need to speak. I mean, even things that happen like today, like in our marriage, like sometimes I don't speak to him about things, I just go straight to God about it, and then I see that he's changed things. And I know I've heard many wives say it on this show, and even when giving their testimony, but it actually really does work. It's not magic, it's just using your faith, and it can change things in your household.
So how's marriage today?
Marriage today is a blessing, of course, with challenges, many fights in many different areas. But the good thing is that we're working as a team.
Yeah.
We've understood that we are both a team. At the beginning, it felt like we were on separate sides. But through obviously us working together, working with God, we now see that we are a team. And as a team, we can accomplish anything that we want to achieve.
So which is better, the marriage life or the single life?
Marriage life.
Yeah, definitely.
especially you, Daniel, because you had that mentality. No, I don't need a man. I have to, to live by myself. What do you think about? Because there are many women that they still thinking like you used to think. They think that, I don't need a man. I don't need to submit myself to a man. I don't need to live this kind of humiliation. For you, when you speak about submission, we have a spiritual understanding about submission. Submission is not for you to be under, your husband. It's an equalizer, It's God, bringing exactly, God bringing the right balance, to the relationship. Because women naturally have that, that think of, I'm here, initiative. But what could you say to these women? Maybe you can speak to them here. To this kind of women that they think like that, I don't need a man. I'm good the way I am. I'm independent. I'm living my life. What do you have to say about it? Because you were in that side and now you are in the other side. So you are an authority in this subject.
Yeah, I think one thing to remember is what God created you for. God didn't create you to rule over your husband, and when you try to push yourself into a position that God didn't create you for, you're only hurting yourself. I think that's important to remember, not only as a married woman but also as a single person as well. That's why we see a lot of women becoming stressed out. They become burnt out because they're trying to do the job that a man, I believe that we are all Christian here and we all believe in God, that they're trying to do the role that a man is supposed to fulfill. But as I said, if you push yourself to do something that you wasn't made for, you're going to end up hurting yourself. So I think the best thing to do is understand that when God asks us to submit, when God asks us to be a helper to a husband or to obey authorities, it's to help ourselves. It's not a detriment to ourselves. It doesn't make us powerless. It actually gives us more power, and that's how He's effectively using us. So yeah, don't fear that at all.
That's it. So there is happiness after single life. And that's it. It was a great pleasure to be here with you. You have a wonderful night. Stay in the faith. Bye-bye.
The Love Talk Show on Liberty Radio.